Hey everyone, we'll go over the flow that people requested. So the first one we'll pick is Microsoft. This is the call contract, and this is the put contract. We had a 280, as you can see here, put that come in, and this came for 414, and this one was for 1.2 million. This wasn't actually bought, it was actually sold, so this is actually bullish. However, the ones that I'm focusing on is the 331. These are 275s, and there were 11 orders for a total of 632k. The flow is mixed. If I take you to the overall flow for Microsoft, it is bullish. I don't really like to look at calls to put ratio because 0 days can change that. The net premium is 4.17, which is bullish. And the reason for that is there's a lot of long calls that are bullish. For a short, only next week has about 630. And I think that's due to end of quarter. They could be hedging for it, or they could think that we get a big rebalancing drop. So let's go look at the chart for Microsoft here. Let me get you the daily. The daily is a bear flag. All I'm watching for Microsoft this week is where the candle opens. If we close above supply is sort of like sell zone to make it simplified. You can call it sort of resistance, but it's a little bit more than that. So for basically keeping it simple, because I know a lot of people don't know demand and supply. If we open the next candle above this 277 level, we can get a 288 retest. The only resistance is this level here, 284. This was our previous reject. So weekly 290 calls aren't bad if we break this bull flag on the upside. So you could wait for the 283.21 to break, or you could wait for basically how we consolidate on Monday. Remember, we have GDP numbers coming on Thursday, and then we've got the month of end rebalancing too, which could take us either way. So that's Microsoft. Let me go quickly check what other flow requests we got today. All right, the next one we have is Lulu. I know Lulu has earnings as well. So I will be doing the chart with you guys. So showing you how I'm drawing the supply zones. This is the daily, and we're right on the supply. So this is the sell zone. Let's take a look at Lulu flow. So if you guys notice, there isn't anything on the call side, whereas on the put side, we have puts for 310, 270, and 320. I don't like to look at long-term puts, so I'm gonna focus on the April ones. So April 6th, April 14th, and April 20th. We've got 60K, which isn't much, but these two are pretty big. So we've got $1 million in puts almost for April 6th, and we've got 750 for April 21. I'll say this not to confuse you guys, but to be completely transparent. When it comes to earnings, it's a complete gamble because this could be just a hedge. They might be in a very book position in terms of stock, and they're just hedging with puts. So just be careful. I'll go over the chart. Lulu has earning in 2 days, so that makes it Tuesday. They have earnings, so I think okay. So let's break it technical. Technical, this is bearish. Why? Because it's in a supply zone. We could see a fail on supply. Chart flow also bearish. Also, let's see when was the last time we broke this. Last time we broke this was in February 15th. After that, we've tried breaking this on February 23rd. Then we tried this a couple of days after, and then we had another reject on March 3rd, and now we're trying it again. So again, charts are bearish, so is the flow. But when it comes to earnings, you never know. Another thing I want to show is this is, if you don't know this, I'll quickly break it down for you. This is also a cup and handle. So usually with a cup and a handle, you get a cup and then you get a little bit of a retracement, which sometimes looks like this. And if we go hourly on this chart, 306 to 300 would be a good retracement on this. But again, because of earnings, I'm not really looking at this because I don't really play earnings. If you want to play an earning run up, you could, but the premiums are going to be very expensive for Lulu. The next one I have is Zim. The shipping ticker. Let's look at it daily. I like to start looking at things on a daily level and then. So you know what? This is perfect. We were talking about a cup and handle. While I have you guys, let's quickly go over this. This is usually how a cup and handle goes. So you get a cup, then you get a retracement like that, and then you get a rip, which we saw here. What I'm seeing here is this area to be a solid resistance, 2510. Personally, what I'm seeing here, if you don't know supply and demand, this area here, 2510 to all the way 2517 is resistance. Let's see when they have earnings. They don't have earnings till 52 days. If we break above this, I would go bullish at this level. You're basically going to get burnt because of, we call this an algo channel. If you look at it, how choppy this area is, I would wait for this area to break. And my apologies, the area is actually from 25 to 2626. Let's go check the Zim flow. You don't, there's a couple of tickers, you don't see a lot of flow on it. Like they won't be anything like tech. So that's kind of, so the spreads are going to be wide too. So there isn't any flow that my Traditix is pulling out. So we got nothing on Zim, but chart wise, 2630 is what I'll be watching for a breakout. In terms of demand, if I was to like looking at a level to buy it at 2165. So I would set my alert at 2165. I wouldn't be touching around this area. So demand area, also called a buy zone. I always have it green. So this demand zone is 2112 to 2165. So if I had to trade this, I would put an alert at around 22. So I get like I get an alert that it's time for me to buy it. The other support is right here, the top of the cup. This isn't too big enough for me to even trade. So for $2, I wouldn't risk it because this area is choppy. So it's not all traveling from 20 to 25. You've got a reject here, the supply here, and then above as well. So it's not worth, in my opinion. The next one is NVIDIA, and then we'll go over Tesla and Coin. I cover this ticker more than anything, probably the most trending ticker. This is, I was just going over it with my team today. This is what the weekly chart looks like. It's on supply and it's looking very, very overbought, which it doesn't really mean much in terms of us traders. It does mean that it's due for retracement, but it could go on for another week. But let's go check on the flow. From my side, I'm just to be completely transparent, I'm actually in weekly SMH puts. So I am bearish on this. Let's go over the flow. So bearish calls to put, meaning for every 10 puts, there's for every 10 contracts that are coming, roughly six are puts and 4.47 are calls. Let's go check the overall volume. All right, so the call side looks pretty stacked as well as the put side. Now, the way I look at this is, if I was to take shots at this level, I would go downside over upside because we're right at supply. If we break this 284 area, we can see 300, but because it's a weekly supply, this area is going to be hard to break. The last time we rejected this was March 21st. Before that, it was on January 10th. So it's been a while. So this is usually weekly zones don't break that easy. Think of it as like a daily or a weekly trend line or support resistance. It doesn't usually break through. Another thing that most people aren't talking about on Twitter is MU has earnings on Tuesday. And as a sympathy, if MU goes down, so does Nvidia. So it's a high risk trade in the sense that it's sympathy for MU, but the flow, for to be completely transparent, long-term flow for almost everything tech is very bullish. Short term, we're seeing some bearish flow. The way I look at this, and if you're not part of the Discord, I'll quickly explain you. If you bought Nvidia as a fund or as an institution in January, let's see what the price was. 152. It's almost at 267. End of quarter, would you try taking some profits off of it, which is also known as rebalancing, and it's at a weekly supply? So this is where I would take a shot for puts here. High risk in the sense that you're counter trading here, because look, the trend is up, right? You doing this is you counter trading, meaning you're going against the majority here. So if you get rewarded, it would be an amazing reward because there's nothing until 236 in terms of demand. So we can go all the way to, that's about 30 points in a week if that happens, which is what I think may happen or what I'm betting at. Next is Tesla. Clean this up. Let's go for the flow first, and then we'll switch it up depending on what ticker it is. So bearish call put ratio is 50-50. Basically, net premium is 38. Overall flow is bearish. Net premium is total call premium, total call volume subtracted by total put volume. We get negative, which means that there's more puts than calls. So if you look at it, it's quite a bit of in terms of bearish. Again, when it comes to flow, I look at what's happening in short term. If there's a leap 2 years out, I don't really take that into consideration. But so let's take a look. 421, which is April OPEX, that has 6.21 million, 3 orders. Then we've got March 24th, 23. This is old, so we can't really do much with it. We got next week 3.56 million, guys. That's a lot. 48 orders. That's bearish. It's pretty stacked, right? It's pretty stacked for short term. So let's go look at the chart for, let's go daily. So in my opinion, if I was to take a short here, I would look at around 200. I wouldn't be messing around. I think there's better plays that you can look for bullish and bearish. Tesla isn't as strong as Nvidia and a couple of Microsoft and Apple that we're looking at. Like if you look at it, a lot of the stuff, it's not coincident, is very close to supply. So let's go 5 minutes on this. So it's trending up, right? But if you guys look at it carefully, what do you guys see? Bear flag. Let's see if it breaks up or down. FYI, bear flag is not always bearish. If a bear flag breaks upwards, then it's bullish. So be very careful on these chart pattern. There is another supply here on this on 191. So the way I would look at it, if we can get above 191.20 on Tesla, we can test 195 and then 200. But if we get below this level, 187.29, that's the only time I would go short on it. This thing is very violent and volatile, and the flow is all over the place. I think there's cleaner plays. We've got Coin, and then we've got Apple. Sorry. Okay, Coin, again, not shocking. Let's clean this up again. Coin is probably one of the hardest tickers to play, in my opinion, because of how big of the moves are here. So let's see. We're up here. We had a gap down. To be completely transparent with you, this is looking bullish, but Coin doesn't move, but Coin moves with Bitcoin. The thing here is we've got a solid demand over at 56. I'm trying to look for, let's see, 1 hour chart. If you look at something quickly here, this seems like the top, and this seems like the support that's holding. We're in the middle of it, so what am I watching here? 69, 87, 70 area. Unless it's above that, I'm not touching it. For downside, the problem is I tried taking the downside on this on Friday. Let me show you the 5 minutes. It tried the drop and then basically ripped. I think I got in around this level, and it slowly, like, the premium got killed because it was Friday. It tried going down and then just zipped through. So coin, let's go check the premium on coin. My favorite setup is Microsoft over that supply. If you didn't properly listen, go back and check Microsoft over the 282 level. Looks really bullish. You could scalp it. Okay, so this is coin. We're seeing puts for 421s, 924. Call side, we don't have much orders. Very basic. So put size is getting stacked. So this clearly is more bearish than bullish. Net premium should be bearish. So let's break this down. So for every 10 contracts that are coming, 8 are puts and 2 are calls, negative 4.3 million. So coin is getting a lot of bearish flow. And if I was to short it, I would go closer to 69.70. Watch crypto though. If Bitcoin is running, the coin chart doesn't really matter. Crypto is a lot of news, and when I say crypto, I mean coin is a lot of crypto and Bitcoin, because if you're watching coin chart, you won't get much out of it. But if you watch Bitcoin, you'll get a better idea of what they're doing in crypto overall, and always reflect on coin and news too. There's always some sort of news happening with crypto. I don't want to confuse you with too many charts. I'm going to do Apple and call it a day here. So again, this is what the 1 hour looks like. It's kind of like Microsoft, very strong on supply. If we break 162, this thing will go. But again, you have to worry about the supply. So here's the problem. Let's take this out because we're looking at weekly. If we end up breaking this level here, which is basically a high of the day for Friday, this thing will get squeezed high, but it's coming pretty close. So essentially what I'm trying to say is, if you look at this technically, everything, Microsoft, Apple, both NVIDIA, AMD, they all look very bullish. They're all going to supply where my sell zones are, and the flow short term is very bearish. So we still might get 1 or 2 green days, but because it's end of month coming, you could say the flow is like that because they're trying to hedge on their gains. So that's why this week is very crucial. You just need to follow, like if I was to looking at Apple on Monday, I'm looking for it to either break this, or I'm looking for it to break this 157 level. That's what I'm looking. If it breaks 157, you get a clean 155 move. And that's what we're looking at, clean moves. That's all I got for you guys. I don't want to keep going over more tickers and confuse you. But we'll try doing this again next week. But yeah.